Hi everyone, it's AC here. This week's video we'll be talking about is what happened to John Field. John Field was born on May 15th, 1962. He is the younger brother of Paul Field, but he is also one of the older brothers of Blue Wiggle, Anthony Field. If you've watched my What Happened to Paul Field video last week, thank you for watching. Which Paul is John's older brother, like I said earlier. Go watch that video if you haven't already. John Field was in the rock and roll Australian band called the Cockroaches, which that was formed by him, his brothers Anthony and Paul, Jeff Fatt, who used to be the Purple Wiggle for 21 years, Tony Henry, Peter Mackey, and Phil Robinson. The Cockroaches started back in 1979 and it ended back in the early 90s. So, in the first 2 years of the Wiggles, when the Wiggles first started, and before they went touring full time, John and the Wiggles did some busking over those first few years. And funnily enough, John came up with the Hot Potato melody, and it was originally going to be Hot Tamale, and then a couple of years later, it became Hot Potato. So the melody was originally, so the song was originally going to be called Hot Tamale, which that was what John sang while him and the Wiggles went busking. And then it was later recorded and written for Hot Potato, which that came out 30 years ago, which I cannot believe it's been 30 years since that song came out. John wrote some fantastic songs with the Wiggles over the last 3 decades. I'll name you some right now. He wrote Get Ready to Wiggle, Dorothy the Dinosaur, Hot Potato, Go Santa Go, Swim Like a Fish, Do the Wiggle Groove, Feeling Chirpy, Bit by Bit, We're Building a Set, Say the Dance, Do the Propeller, Beep Beep Buckle Up, Thank You Mr. Weatherman, Look Before You Go, and so much more. He ran a production company called John Field Production Music, which I think he started that back in 2001, and I think the latest clip was probably 2017, 2018, maybe 2019 at the most in the most recent years. So yeah, John did some plays, and he was also in charge of those plays. Those plays were Evie and the Birdman and Who Loves Me, which Evie and the Birdman was from 2001, and also Who Loves Me was 2017. I believe Haste to the Wedding was probably in the late 90s sometime, and I believe Sam Moran was in that, and Sam was also in Evie and the Birdman. So I think John told Anthony to hire Sam to be a backing singer and eventually a Wiggly dancer in the years to come. So yeah, so and that's all, and I think that's also and also John also approached Anthony to have Simon be a backing singer as well, and doing Kingdom of Paramithy, and Simon did Ringo the Ringmaster for 3 years until he became the Red Wiggle, which he's been the Red Wiggle for the last 11 years. So yeah, and also Emma Pask and Ryan DeSaulnier and did Evie and the Birdman, and Ryan and Emma also did Who Loves Me, and all of John's kids and most of his nieces and nephews are in the Who Loves Me play. And if you're a big fan of the Wiggles, or if you want to hear a musical, please go check out Evie and the Birdman and Who Loves Me, which are both John Field musicals. And on Evie and the Birdman, Leah Ashley was a choreographer for Evie and the Birdman, which Leah Ashley was the choreographer for the Wiggles at the time. Ryan Desaulniers just moved to Australia months before he started doing Evie and the Birdman, and then and Ryan started working with the Wiggles thanks to John and thanks to John, and then Anthony sold the show one day, and then he asked John to have Ryan to have Ryan Desaulniers become a wiggly dancer, and then eventually be a backing singer, like a Manzella backing vocalist. So yeah. So yeah, a lot of people were in those plays have either worked with the Wiggles and like in their future, or they've worked with them in the past. So yeah. So also, please watch those plays if you haven't already. They're really good and harmonies sound really good. Back in 2011, John and his brother Paul started a band called the Field Brothers. They did 2 albums together, 1964, which came out in 2011, and then Every Day's Like an Elvis Movie, which the album came out back in 2016. John Field started his own band called the John Field Band, which has Daniel Fallon and Dom Lindsay. The last few years, after like he started slowing down on writing the stuff with the Wiggles, John's also been co-producing and also still songwriting on children's TV shows, which those children's TV shows are from the ABC. And I'll name you them right now. The CDs are called The Lift of Gravity, which came out in 2021, and Dipped in Love, which came out in 2020. John did a great album back in 2017 called Animal Songs and Sounds, which is a children's album, and I believe it's from the ABC as well. John did a great Christmas album back in 2017 called Dipped in Blue. My favorite song off that album is This Christmas, which is a song that came out back in 2019. During that song, he referenced the Go Santa Go song, which he wrote Go Santa Go with the Wiggles, obviously, which Go Santa Go is a Wiggles song from the Wiggly Wiggly Christmas album in 1997. Let me know of what videos you would want me to do on YouTube, and give me some suggestions on what you want me to talk about, what the topic could be about. So yeah. Thank you for enjoying the video, everybody. Happy wiggling!